name is Stacey Jensen, and we are broadcasting live today from the beautiful Sesquicentennial State Park, which is located in Northeast Columbia. So some of you may be familiar with the location where I'm standing right now. If you're not, we are at the trailhead of our Jackson Creek Nature Trail. And we know a lot of you have been cooped up. Maybe you can't get outside. You haven't been able to come out and enjoy some of our state parks and get some fresh air. So we're going to take you on a nature walk and take you into the parks today. Let's see, a few other things we want to talk about. So unfortunately, we have had to cancel our programming, which is why we're doing this today. And so a lot of us interpreters, I don't know if I said, but I'm the interpretive ranger here at Sesqui. And so I do all of the programs, school field trips, guided tours, things like that here. And trying to come to you virtually and see you. So this is something that we're going to be trying to do on a regular basis. We hope to bring you something new every day. So stay tuned and join us every single day if you can, so that we can connect with you guys and talk to you even though we don't get to see you in person. Couple things. If you're just joining us, I'll introduce myself real quick again. It's Stacey Jensen, and we're coming to you live from Sesquicentennial State Park. Oh, and also I do want to mention we have no script. I have no cue cards. We're winging it a little bit today, and my cameraman is our park manager, John Wells. He's saying hello. I think he's going to try and hide behind the camera for most of this, which is fine. That's fine. This is Taylor, and she's not in school, of course, like all of your children, so she will be joining us a little bit today as she pleases. So if she feels like saying something, great, and if not, we'll carry on. So a couple things I want to mention if you have not been to Sesquicentennial State Park. The first thing I want to tell you is what Sesquicentennial means. It means 150 years or 150th anniversary, because this park was actually a birthday present to the city of Columbia when Columbia celebrated its 150th birthday. And so that was back in 1936. The city of Columbia celebrated their sesquicentennial, and they raised money, and they had money left over at the end of their celebration, and they chose, our local and state leaders chose to purchase land and give the citizens of South Carolina a big 1,400-acre state park and a green space for their birthday, and we're so glad that they did that. And so we're really here to commemorate Columbia Sesquicentennial and also offer an urban green space and an urban getaway to all the folks in our community and around South Carolina to come out and enjoy. So that's a little bit about the history of the park. We'll get into that just a little bit more in a minute. So we're doing kind of a short nature walk, just a little abbreviated walk. We're going to have a few stops and things, and I understand you are able to type in questions, and I think what we'll do with that is we'll wait till the end and we'll try and answer some of your questions as best we can, and anything we don't get to we'll try and get to on our live stream, I think is how we're going to handle that. So bear with me. I hope you all can see me well and hear me well. We're going to kind of head down the trail in a minute. Just one more time quickly, I'll introduce myself if you're just now getting on and joining us. Stacey Jensen, and we're coming to you live from Sesquicentennial State Park, and we are about to walk down our Jackson Creek Nature Trail and see what we can find. And actually, we don't have to go very far, and I want to show you. So we have kind of our special guest appearances that we're going to have today, and they're in the form of plants and animals. So they're not going to answer our interview questions, but that's okay. We're going to talk to them anyway and see how they're doing. And I will tell you, if you haven't had a chance to come out, the theme out here right now is pollen. There's still a lot of pollen. The pollen is everywhere. So if you are bothered by pollen, it's probably good that you're not standing out here right now. But we still are seeing a lot of it, and things are really starting to bloom on this second day of spring, our first full day of spring. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute too. So if you will follow me, we are just going to step right over here. And before we even get on our trail officially, I have our first special star guest of the day. it is none other than switch cane. And if you have not heard of switch cane, maybe you've heard of it as river cane. It goes by a couple different names, but it is actually a type of bamboo. It is native to South Carolina. So we were talking about this plant right here, nicknamed switch cane and river cane. And you guys, we're going to head down the trail and look for a couple more things. And actually, we're not going to burn a lot of calories on this hike because we're not going very far. We're going to take a few more steps, and I've already got something else cool that I have to show you. Alright, so we've come just a few steps down the trail. We've already talked about switch cane. And the next thing I want to show you is something really cool that I've kind of been geeking out on a little bit lately. So one thing I haven't mentioned is that I've worked here for 16 years, and I've probably walked down this trail thousands of times, literally. And every time I walk by, there's this really weird kind of brown, orange, gooey stuff right here on the trail. And I always walk by it and I'm like, yeah, that's probably iron. I don't know. And I've never really investigated what it is. So just a few weeks ago, I decided to find out what this really is so that I can explain it to people. And so this is what I found out. It is a groundwater iron seep. And so what happens is when you have groundwater that has no oxygen in it, when the water seeps up from the ground and it comes in contact with that oxygen, it creates this iron color, this kind of goo, because there is iron oxidizing bacteria that are actually creating that orange color and making that iron oxidize and appear on the surface of the soil. And so the water underneath is deoxygenated because there are microorganisms and vegetation that are decaying and decomposing. So they're taking the oxygen out of the water, and then as it slowly seeps up, you see those iron oxidizing bacteria take over, and they create this gooey orange stuff. And it's been super interesting lately because we've had so much rain, so we've got so much more groundwater seeping up. So our groundwater iron seep has actually gotten quite larger lately, and I just think it's really interesting. Now our cameraman is zooming in on something that is very, very camouflaged on the ground right now, and that is a green frog. But it most often goes by the name bronze frog because you'll notice it is very bronze in color, which most of ours are, although they can vary a lot in color. But it gets its name, I don't know if you can see it, but it basically has a bright green mouth, if you guys can see that. So that's where its name comes from. Okay, hey guys, so we have gone a little bit farther on our Jackson Creek Nature Trail, and because it is the first full day of spring, or the second day of spring here, things are starting to bloom. And we're really lucky here in South Carolina that, in fact, we see some things blooming out in our forests even in late January and February. And one of those plants is our state wildflower, which is the yellow jasmine. It's a beautiful evergreen vine that twists and wraps its way up trees and other plants out in the forest, and it's just a refreshing splash of yellow color when it's still kind of cold in winter. And so it's kind of the first sign of spring is when the yellow jasmine starts blooming. And yellow jasmine are great because they are a food source. They provide nectar for hummingbirds, butterflies, and bees. They are not for people though. Yellow jasmine is poisonous or toxic. So you don't want to, if you're tired of eating peanut butter and jelly or frozen pizzas, don't go out in your yard and eat a yellow jasmine flower. It will make you sick. So we have that blooming right now, and then our dogwood trees, our native dogwood trees just started blooming in the last few days, and I want to show you what those look like. They are really, really pretty, and we're seeing the flowers right now, and so we're looking forward to, they just started, so we'll see a lot more of that, and they'll get a lot bigger and brighter in the coming weeks, but we're really happy to see some signs of spring out here. All right, we've gone a little bit farther on our nature trail walk today, and it has brought us to our spillway, which is the most scenic spot on the park, in my opinion. This is where a lot of people come to reflect, relax, meditate, just think about things. And it's a wonderful place to come and do that. And so we wanted to show it to you today. I want to share a little bit of the history of the Spillway with you. And then we're going to have just a little peaceful meditation moment where we will look and listen to the waterfall. I thought that may be something that everybody needs right now, especially if you're cooped up in your house. So just to tell you a little bit about our Spillway, I mentioned at the very beginning that the park was built started being built in the late 1930s. The land was purchased in 1937 to commemorate Columbia's 150th anniversary. And this was just land. It was not a park. And so someone had to come in and turn this place into a park. And fortunately, this was during the 1930s when the Civilian Conservation Corps was active. And so we had a Civilian Conservation Corps, or CCC, company come in and spend several years turning this land into a park for our community and for South Carolina. And one of the things they built, one of probably their most impressive feats, was building this spillway. So they rebuilt the lake that was kind of already here, but had filled in a lot and silted in. And it sort of is now the centerpiece of the park. And then they had to build this spillway where all the water in the lake flows out. So what you're looking at is part of Gills Creek watershed, and this is Jackson Creek. And the water that flows through here meanders its way through the city of Columbia and ends up in the Congaree River. So this is just the overflow out of our pond or our lake. And you'll notice it's a two-tiered design. And if any of you were here in October of 2015, you may remember the flood that we had. And we had a lot of spillways that collapsed. And this one did not. This one did not fail. And so it is really a testament to the CCC, the work that those men did, and the engineering ability that they had back then. So we're really proud of that. And thank you so much for tuning in today. I had so much fun talking to you guys, and as well as my lovely assistant and daughter Taylor. We've enjoyed spending some time with you this morning. And if you can, get out and enjoy a state park, and stay tuned because we're hoping to have more Live with the Park Rangers.